Book 1 of the Avenrail cycle. Sashenka, Before the Bells Turned Gold. Written by Crimzen Cavallo. In the fading realm of Avenrail, ancient paths are beginning to awaken once more. This is the story of Sashenka, of forgotten echoes, silent powers, and a journey that begins long before the bells turned gold. Chapter 1. Before the World Broke. Snow fell softly across the towers of Old Verhall before the world broke. Not the hard mountain snow of Avenrail. This snow drifted slowly through silver lantern light and settled upon rooftops shaped like wings. The city stood upon cliffs above a dark northern sea, where dragons once crossed the skies openly at dusk, and no child feared the stars. Sashenka remembered those winters. She remembered warmth. That was the dangerous thing about memory. It made loss sharper. The great observatory bells echoed midnight across the city as she crossed the stone bridge toward the archives, her muted blonde braid already dusted white with snow. Below the cliffs, black water struck the rocks in slow thunder. The wolf followed close behind her. And farther back through the snowfall came Mistral. The pale mare moved quietly across the bridgestones, silver breath curling into the winter air. Snow gathered along her white mane but never seemed to remain there long. Her dark eyes watched the city carefully, as though listening to something buried beneath it. Not yet legend. Not yet feared. But already strange. Stable horses became restless near her. Birds settled calmly beside her without alarm. And more than once, Sashenka had awakened before dawn to find Mistral staring north beneath the stars long before disaster arrived. The old women of Verhall whispered that the mare carried road memory from worlds no longer standing. Sashenka ignored them. Mostly. The archive doors opened before she reached them. Master Elian stood waiting beneath the lanterns. "You're late. You sent for me at midnight." "That is not an answer." Sashenka removed her gloves calmly. "Then my answer is that the sea road froze." Elian studied her with tired gray eyes. "You went beyond the lower cliffs again." It was not a question. The wolf slipped past them into the warmth of the archive halls. Mistral paused at the threshold. Her ears turned toward the distant sea below the cliffs. Then slowly, reluctantly, she entered. Sashenka said nothing. That silence told him enough. Elian sighed heavily and shut the doors against the storm outside. "You must stop going there. The lights are growing stronger." "That is exactly why you should stop." The enormous halls of the Northern Archives stretched upward into darkness above them, filled with suspended stairways, floating lanterns, and shelves containing records older than kingdoms. And beneath all of it, far below the foundations, came the sound. A faint hum. Deep. Ancient. Almost alive. Mistral shifted uneasily near the doors. Sashenka looked downward instinctively. "You hear it too now," she said quietly. Elian's expression darkened. "I always heard it." "Then why does everyone pretend nothing is beneath the city?" "Because some truths sleep more safely." Sashenka frowned. "You sound frightened." For the first time since entering the hall, the old archivist looked genuinely unsettled. "I am." The wolf suddenly stopped walking. His ears lifted sharply toward the far end of the hall. At the same moment, Mistral lowered her head and went perfectly still. Sashenka turned. Someone else stood among the lantern shadows now. A traveler. Tall. Wrapped in a dark, frost-covered cloak. No footsteps. No sound of opening doors. Yet there he stood, watching them. The lantern flames dimmed softly around him. Elion went pale. No. The stranger lowered his hood. And Sashenka forgot how to breathe. Not because he looked monstrous, because he looked unbearably tired. Ancient silver eyes met hers across the hall. Then the traveler spoke the words that would divide her life into before and after. The gates are weakening. Far beneath the city of Verhall, something answered. Chapter 2. The Stranger from the Gate. The traveler's name was Aurelin. Not yet Shadow. Not yet feared. He was one of the Luminar Guardians, though Sashenka did not understand that at first. To her, he looked like a man carved from moonlight and grief. He told them the truth the councils had buried. The gates were not doors to conquest. They were refuges. The Luminar had crossed through them, fleeing something that consumed worlds from within. Not war, not fire, forgetting. A darkness that fed on memory, light, and the part of a being that still believed it mattered. Master Elion listened with shaking hands. Sashenka listened with her whole soul. The wolf remained near Aurelin without fear. And outside the archives, beneath falling snow, Mistral stood motionless, facing north, as though she too sensed the distant pressure gathering beyond the gates. When Aurelin finished, the wolf walked to him and pressed his head against his knee. Aurelin closed his eyes. "The animals still remember," he whispered. That was the first time Sashenka understood that truth did not live only in books. Sometimes it lived in fur, breath, instinct, and eyes that watched what humans refused to see. Begin the journey into the Avenrail cycle. Ebooks and audiobooks available now. Contact mystarlightfables@gmail.com. All rights reserved.